on the Texas A&M Sports Network. From Learfield, live from Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue on Harvey Road in College Station. This is the Buzz Williams Show, presented by Bud Light. It's for the fans. And by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit rudys.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. Now, here is the voice of Texas A&M basketball, Andrew Monaco.
Howdy, and welcome to the Buzz Williams Show as we are back at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road in College Station, and the Aggies are back in Aggie land after spending the last week in Las Vegas. I'm Andrew Monaco, glad you're with us, and no matter how you are joining us, perhaps it is all along the Texas A&M Sports Network or the 12th Man mobile app, Learfield's the Varsity Network app, or maybe you're streaming us and you want to send in a question, you can do just that behind the mic on the Texas A&M Basketball Facebook page. Thank you for being with us. In this next hour, we will talk about how the Aggies fared in Las Vegas at the tournament, losing to eventual champion Wisconsin and then beating Butler and a second-half comeback against Notre Dame. And one of the Aggies has been named the SEC Player of the Week. We'll also look at what's ahead for Texas A&M as they will entertain the Privateers of New Orleans. That will be tomorrow night at Reed Arena. 6 o'clock is the tip. All that, much, much more. Your questions, it's all straight ahead. Stay with us. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, hotel accommodations, autographed memorabilia, and more. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. Alongside the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Buzz Williams, I'm Andrew Monaco. Glad that you're with us, and it is the Buzz Williams Show. After 2-1 in the tournament that was supposed to be in, what are they calling it, the ninth island of Las Vegas. The Aggies played Wisconsin, the Aggies played Butler, the Aggies played Notre Dame. And after running out to a big start against Wisconsin, the eventual champions, the Aggies defeat Butler, they defeat Notre Dame. And first of all, Coach, howdy. Welcome back to Aggie land.
Thankful to be back.
How did this team play? How would you grade their performance in that tournament in Las Vegas?
I thought we started great, and I thought we finished great. In between, we did do some good things. I thought the tenacity and the togetherness and the competitiveness that we played in the last 20 minutes against Notre Dame, specifically the last 15 minutes, says a lot about our players and how they were raised. We were down 14 with 16:40 to go. And a team that's as slow as Notre Dame and turns the ball over at such a low rate, being down 14, that's like being down 25. I thought we started great against Wisconsin. The first 10 or 12 minutes, we were really good. Weren't good to close the first half and just okay in the second half. And Butler, the game was probably somewhere in between. I think we learned a lot about our team, some of which maybe we already knew, but 3 games in 3 days gave us more evidence, particularly the competition, neutral site, not at home, et cetera, et cetera. We're as of through 7 games, we're third in the league in defensive field goal percentage. Really good. We're last in defensive rebounding percentage. So the opponent shoots, the opponent misses. Who gets the ball? We're last in the SEC on percentage of times we get the ball. If somehow we could not be last, our defensive field goal percentage would be even better, right? Because we shoot and they miss and they get it back. Do they score, et cetera? Our field goal percentage defense is 37%. That's the best through 7 games that it's been since we've been here. And then offensively, I think when we play with a little bit of pace and then discipline within that pace, we're okay. Our assist-to-turnover ratio is 1 as a team. That's middle of the pack in the league. You want to be a little above 1. So we're averaging 14 turnovers, and we're averaging 14 assists. Particularly the way Butler plays and the way Notre Dame plays, it's hard to have assisted baskets because of how they defend. But in the second half, the mentality at which we played offensively is, particularly Notre Dame, that's how we have to play. We scored 51 points and we still shot a really poor number from the free throw line. But it was more downhill. It was more you have to guard us, and until you rotate, we're not passing. But when you rotate, we're going to find the open man. So I think there were a lot of things. To be able to be 6-1, 7 games in 14 days. You know, I had our guys on, we got back at whatever time, 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning. And as I told them, on Friday and Saturday, I felt like I was in a different world as far as my body clock, 3 games in 3 days, a different time zone, etc. So we started again on Sunday and kind of walked through all that has transpired. And we've had more off days since the season started than we have had practice days. And a lot of that was because we played 7 games. We played more games than anybody in the league. We need to see if, without making wholesale changes yesterday or today, how can we do with what we've learned in Notre Dame relative to the next 40 minutes against New Orleans, and then take that sample size of the month of November and see how we can tighten up the things that we know for sure we're good at and accentuate those things. And then the things that we're not great at, how can we at least stop the bleeding in those things? I showed our guys we're last in defensive rebound percentage, and versus the team that's first, it's a little over 10%. It's a rebound and a half. 14 turnovers a game. Somehow can we get that to 11 turnovers? And those possessions, if you added them up on both ends, that's how thin the line is for every team, but specifically that we know that that's what we have to improve on. I think that that's good to be able to be at that point where you're at least aware. And now we have to find ways to become better at those things.
You always say that the key to rebounding starts on the shot. Correct?
Yeah, when Texas A&M shoots, is our offense helping our defense. If we take surprise shots, if we take ill-timed shots, if we take selfish shots, we have no chance to ever get our defense set. I thought that was one thing that was really beneficial against Butler, really beneficial against Notre Dame. We had a lower turnover rate. Partly it's a lower turnover rate because it's a lower possession game. But also there were not as many turnovers. And then when we don't turn it over, do we know Monaco's about to shoot? And so when Monaco shoots, am I going to rebound or am I getting back in transition defense? And so your offense does have to help your defense. And I think a lot of our things are tied together. If you turn it over, you're helping the opponent score in transition, particularly if it's live ball. Mm-hmm. If you shoot an ill-timed or ill-advised shot, you're probably going to play in an advantage-disadvantage situation defensively. And then the flip side, if because we play with multiple ball handlers, we don't have to always, if this person gets it, he has to outlet the ball to that person. We play with multiple players that have a license to drive the fast break. So if we could get a higher percentage of the defensive rebounds, now we can play faster in transition. And so the areas that we have to work on to improve, there are layers to the impact. There's a cause and an effect. It's not just one thing. Like, I think one thing that will help us is we need to get fouled more. Before we left to go to Vegas, we were shooting a little over 70% as a team. In Vegas, we shot 55%, 11 of 21 against Butler, 14 of 29 against Notre Dame. I don't think we're a 55% free throw shooting team, but we do want to get teams in foul trouble / regardless of how many guys they're playing, can we be the first team to the bonus? And that was the one thing I kept telling them in the second half. We got to hurry up and get to the bonus, because if we can get to the bonus and every time they foul, the clock stops, now all of a sudden we are able to score points and no time's coming off the clock. And it was 14 with 16:40 to go, and it was a one-possession game with 4 minutes to go. But if you make a higher percentage of those shots, you can argue maybe it's not that close that long. But 14 to win by whatever we won by 6, that 20-point turnaround in a 16-minute game, a lot of that was the intensity at which we played with defensively. And then also that same mentality offensively. We say downhill. We're going to drive the ball downhill and make the defense have to collapse, make the defense have to rotate, as opposed to playing above the three-point line and they just stay between us and the basket. And so I think one thing is connected to another, and we have to continue to find ways as coaches to show them, to explain to them, to let them see it. We watched the last 9 minutes today of the Notre Dame game. And before we started the 9 minutes, I played it had TJ play it from 17 minutes into the media timeout, just to give it context. And then to see how hard we played as a team. I don't think that there's one player on our team that is superior in one way or another. I think we have multiple players that do a lot of good things, and each player has one or two things that they need to work on. How can we get everybody going in the right direction? You know, we played 11 guys, in essence, double-figure minutes against Notre Dame. And I had printed out every box score of every SEC team since we had been gone to Vegas. There was only one team in one game, and it was a guarantee game, that played 9. Everybody else played 8. Some played 7. One played 6. And so I gave the 13 scholarship players each an SEC team with those box scores. And so as we're watching it today, and it came a chance to break, hey, what team do you have? Who did they play? And how many guys played 10 minutes or more? So it was Ole Miss, and they played these teams, and this is how many guys they played. And then we would do 3 or 4 teams and then watch some more. Give me 3 or 4. The part of where we have to be good is we have more. We don't necessarily have better. That's argumentative. But there is evidence that we have more. So how can we have more be the best that they can be relative to the lanes that we know that we need to be good at? And how can we at least stop the bleeding in the things that we know that we're not as good at?
He's Buzz Williams, head coach of Texas A&M, 6-1, and taking on New Orleans tomorrow at Reed Arena. That will be at 6 o'clock. More on that, much more of the Buzz Williams Show to come. Stay with us. This is Aggie Basketball from Learfield. Join Texas A&M Student Athlete Advisory Council and Frontier in donating toys to children in need this holiday season. Bring your new unwrapped toys to either the Texas A&M men's and women's basketball games at Reed Arena. Do it on December 14th or December 19th. You can visit 12thman.com/toy drive for full details. We continue with the Buzz Williams Show. The Aggies taking on New Orleans. That will be tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, Reed Arena. 5:30 we'll get things started with the Dos Equis tip-off show with head coach Buzz Williams, wrapping up Las Vegas, and the SEC Player of the Week, Quenton Jackson, gets that. Well-deserved, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he's playing with a really good pace. And I may have mentioned it to you at some point, pregame or postgame. His spirit, the lane that he has to live in and compete in, he's made great strides during his tenure here. It says a lot that he's coming off the bench. I think that's important for our team. He's a starter coming off the bench. He's a magnet, and so that's a blessing and that's a curse. And maybe early in his career, too oftentimes his spirit was a curse because he has such a magnetic personality. He's really grown, and I said this, it may have been in the media. His parents have allowed us to coach him. He has two really good parents. They're very supportive of him, but they've allowed us to say, teach, do, coach the way we believe is best. He has become a very efficient player. I actually think he will become even more efficient. There's not moments now when the ball's in his hands that you're wondering, hey, what are you doing? I thought he was a complete pest on Notre Dame's point guard. I thought that was a big their point guard had more turnovers against us than their team was averaging through 6 games. I thought that was big not only for Q, but again, more of his example that we need and how we want to play to 8 guys that are brand new to our team. We need him to be the example. We need his voice to be heard, not just in what he says, but in also what he does. We need some of that more from Boots as well. They're the only 2 guys on our team that have multiple years of experience. Dre is real close to that. Dre only knows what has taken place here. He's saying the right things. We need more player-led timeouts. We need more player-led practices, more player-led energy, not just the coaches hollering and screaming all the time. And I think that Q's performance in Vegas, you could argue, were maybe the best he's ever had consecutively. And I think he's always been a good player, but I think because he's completely bought into what we're doing and agrees and wants to do right, his spirit to receive coaching is completely different. He understands because he has a high IQ off the floor and on the floor, and I think that's a critical component going forward. And we need more guys to do that. We need Boots to join. Boots is new here, but he's not new to us. We need Dre to continue to take the steps that Dre's playing a completely different role than he's ever played in shooting 55% from 3. He's our best defender on the ball and off the ball. Q making great mature steps. Like we need more of that. And I think we will get more of that. We just have such a young team and so many new guys that when you play 7 games and you only practice 3 times, there is going to be some slippage. And some of those games, they're going through things that we have only said because we haven't been able to practice. And so very happy for Q. They had texted me, maybe Evan or somebody else had texted me that he was going to be player of the week. And I just took a screenshot of it and sent it on to Q and sent it to his mom. But that's great. And I think how he handled it, we mentioned it in the film room to the team, very humbly. And you can say whatever you want to say to Q now, and he will respond. He's not a roller coaster emotionally, and that's part of just growing up. But that's also part of the wisdom that comes from competing at this level and understanding how thin the margin is between success and not.
We will step aside, take a break. Much more of the Buzz Williams Show to come. Stay with us. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station, and this is Aggie basketball from Learfield. Basketball and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudy's smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. We continue from Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. It is the Buzz Williams Show as we talk about last week in Las Vegas, Wisconsin, Butler, Notre Dame. New Orleans is tomorrow, 6 o'clock at Reed Arena, the Aggies and the Privateers. Slightly different from when Buzz coached there at New Orleans. We'll get to that in just a little bit. You mentioned Andre Gordon. I saw him after Wisconsin. He said, thing that jumped out at him, details matter. And then you get a chance to correct them against Butler and Notre Dame. But I also said, because Dr. Thornton brought this up, he noticed that bench, the communication from the bench was not exclusively from the coaches. The communication was coming from the players over the course of that. And Dre said, Buzz always tells us player-led teams have success. Are you seeing signs of that?
Yeah, I mentioned that to him today. That's good that Dre said that. I didn't know that he said it. You know, if you're a coach-led team, there's a ceiling to how good you can be. And typically speaking, I think coach-led teams are just okay. I think player-led teams always can overachieve because they're being held accountable by their peers. And our staff has done a really good job. I think the symmetry of our staff is as good as I've seen in a long time. This guy's doing this, and this guy's doing this, and this guy's doing this. There's some checks and balances in what they're doing, but there's no ego in it. And I think that that's a perfect example to our kids. And I think the preparation leading into Vegas was stellar. I think our guys understood what was going to happen against Wisconsin. And I think there was a quick turn. We played the first game on Monday. Obviously, we played the first game again on Tuesday. Our staff gave them the right amount Monday night leading into Tuesday morning shoot-around. And then we felt like we had 2 days off because we didn't play until the last game on Wednesday. And so I think sometimes player-led teams are because of their relationships off the floor. I think our guys have great relationships off the floor. And then somehow you have to figure out how to bleed those relationships to on the floor. And I think the thing that we can do as adults to help them is to make sure that the game plan is very succinct. I think when you start giving them 22 things and you're expecting the 20-year-olds to hold one another accountable, there's too many things. They still have to play too. And so how can you be succinct in your message regardless of opponent? That's the first thing. And then the second thing, specific to that opponent. Like maybe early in my career, middle of my career, I think it was, hey, we're playing the Seattle Seahawks, and here's everything they do. And we write a thesis and a book report on the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think that's the way to do it anymore. I think the way to do it now is, hey, guys, we're playing Seattle, and here's a thing or two just to give you some context. But I'm not going to give you the book report. I've already read the book. This is not the Cliff Notes even. This is how you win. And so if this is how you win, now the content that you're giving the players, they know it's specific to helping them. But then the message is all very direct. And I think I have to be careful. I'm not old and I'm not young. And so when you're teaching these children who grew up on their phone, you have to realize how they learn best. And you have to realize how to keep their attention. And I think our staff has done a really good job of, we could text that to them. We could send them that clip. Maybe they should watch the Seahawks for a minute and then clip in some of our clips when we were doing what we know we have to do against Seattle. Can you clip in some clips from Butler into that? So now they're staying engaged. Here was Seattle. Oh, now that's me against Butler. No, here's Seattle again. Hey, guys, write that down. Do you see that on your phone? No, look at the screen. Here, read this. Yeah, write that down in your diary. And you have to, the ebb and flow, teachers should have, partly because both of my parents were teachers, they've always been underpaid. They should be quadruple paid, because the ability to teach now is more difficult than ever. And so you can be old and go, this generation has changed. No, that's why you're the teacher. And so figure out how to help them. And I think that a player-led team, when they have confidence in what the game plan is for them, it helps them to understand the message for the team. And I almost think that spending time on the opponent has become less important, and spending time on yourself has become more important. And we've kind of altered, even through 7 games, some of how we were doing this 5 years ago. Now, I think some of the older guys, the more experienced guys, the guys that have played 100 games at this level, you can get them over in a group and go, let me tell you some other stuff. Mm-hmm. And they can absorb it. But think about the guys that are playing double-figure minutes for us for the first time in their career. They're in the first month of their college career. You can't give them too much on Seattle. They're going to forget Texas A&M. And then they're going to get in the heat of the moment when things didn't go right, or it was a bad call, or they did something wrong, or they're upset at themselves, or the official did this, and now they have so much swirling in their mind, they can't distinguish between Seattle, Butler, or Texas A&M. And I have to be really careful on that, because one of the things that drives me is just I want to learn. I want to know more. Explain it to me. I want to dissect it. I want to be able to teach it, so I want to be able to understand it from all different lenses. But that's not necessarily who everybody else is. And so I have to be cautious that I'm not trying to overwhelm. And I don't know that hollering and screaming and acting silly, I don't know that that translates anymore. And it's for sure, if how you teach them is different, then how you coach them has to be different. And I'm trying to be open to that, to learn so that I can adjust, so that I can adapt. But I think player-led teams are always going to be better, and I think the way the adults can help is when the message is very succinct. This, and this. This is how you win, remember? And just over and over. And just present the same message in a different way, but it's the same message repeatedly.
Back to consistency of message, correct?
I think that's a lot of it, yes.
Yeah. He's Buzz Williams. We have a question for you when we come back to the Buzz Williams Show. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Stay with us. Aggie basketball from Learfield. As we continue from the Buzz Williams Show from Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road in College Station, it is question time. And Ian's question,
Ian.
right there in the front. Yeah, ready? How has coaching changed you as a person?
Ian, it's all I've known. I try not to say much about myself. I always appreciate you asking. I went to a junior college and was a manager. I worked every day from my 8th grade graduation until the day I started junior college to save as much money as I could. Paid my way to junior college, eventually became manager, and that every week of the summer I worked a college camp all 4 years of my college career, and then my last 2 years I was a manager at an NAIA school that you've never heard of. I took out a loan at the financial aid office and begged for a job during the Final Four of 1994. From my freshman year in college until my senior year in college, every coach that I met didn't understand SEC or head coach or video coordinator, just anybody that had a business card, I wrote them a letter every single week. And so when I graduated from college, I was writing 425 coaches a week. I didn't have any money for a stamp or an envelope, so I got to know all of the secretaries on campus at the music school, the business office, and they would give me their stationery and envelopes. And so I would write, 50 letters a night and then go back and see that secretary and say, hey, can you put those in the mail for me? I never knew. I was telling Travis this today when he was asking about UNO. I never dreamed all of the things that I've been able to be a part of. I haven't deserved any of them. God's grace has kind of covered me and orchestrated my steps. I don't think I'm a bad coach. I don't necessarily think I'm a good coach. But I think the one thing that I've always tried to do is just try to help others, but at the same time hold them accountable to being their best. And sometimes that comes across in the wrong way. It's the only job I've ever had. I've been fortunate. I'm 49. This is my 28th year as a college coach. I've never missed a paycheck. I've been employed at 9 different schools. And my first job was $100 a week, and I was the youngest coach in the country. And when I was hired at New Orleans, I was the youngest coach in that conference. When I was hired at Marquette, I was the youngest coach in that conference. 6 years later, I was hired at Virginia Tech. I was the youngest coach in that conference. And I used to always think that your age mattered, but your age doesn't matter. Your ability to be good is what matters. And so, when we were at Virginia Tech and it was Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski and Jim Boeheim and all the guys you watch on TV, that was kind of cool inside as a country kid from Van Alstyne. But at the same time, my job was to try to help put us in a position to be successful. The one thing that I've realized as I've gotten older, I have 4 kids, some are close to your age, and you've seen them before. I've spent a lot more time with other people's children than I have mine. And so, you should say thanks to your dad. Because your dad has it on his schedule that he brings you here every Monday night. And I have a good dad too. But I'm not a bad dad. But, man, I've been somebody else's dad a lot. And now that I'm getting older and, I've lived a dream bigger than any dream that I've ever had, and it's so cool. I've almost coached 500 games, and I could tell you a lot of numbers and tell you a lot of cool things. And then I look at my kids, and I'm like, wow, I didn't get to see you very much. And I write my kids a letter every day. I write my kids a letter every single morning before I leave and deliver it and put it in the mail so that it's stamped for Bubba because he's not living at home. And they don't hold it against me. Our team, wherever we've been, they've been on the team. But I look back at it, and I know how blessed I have been, and I've tried to be a blessing to other people. But now that I'm approaching old, it's like, okay, well, am I just going to keep doing this? And not that I don't enjoy doing it, but some of the fanfare and some of the things that you see and some of the things that you watch and some of the things that you read, I did the same stuff, all of it. And now that I'm looking kind of the other way, it was worth it in so many ways because I have been able to help others, and it has helped my family, and it's changed the life that my kids lead. But at the same time, I haven't been able to be normal. I don't get to go to Rudy's at 7 o'clock, and the only time I come to Rudy's is to do this. I don't go out to eat. I go to my work, and I go to my house, and I go to my work, and I go to my house. And everybody says, hey, how's College Station? It's fine. I drive from my house to my office. Hey, how was Blacksburg? Man, I loved it. I drove from my house to my office. You know what I mean? Hey, what about Marquette? It was cold up there. It was. I was driving down the highway, and I was seeing them snow trucks move the snow, and I was driving to my office. But when you think about all of the experiences, life-changing experiences. So I don't know how to compare it because I didn't sell real estate or I didn't work at the bank or I haven't owned my own business. But now that I get old, I realize that some of the things that I used to think were really, really important, they're not important at all, you know? And I used to want people to pat me on the back. I used to listen to the opinion of others. And now it's like, it doesn't even matter. What matters is my family. What matters is our staff. What matters are our players and their families. But your life goes real fast because you work like 17, 18 hours a day, and you do that 6.5 months out of the year during the season. And then it takes 100 days to kind of slow down after that. And then the other 100 days you run around and recruit for next year's team. And then it just kind of becomes a hamster wheel. And you are very blessed. And you drive fancy cars and you live in nice houses and you have nice clothes, and that's cool. But it's the relationships with those people. And it's people that matter. And it doesn't matter because of their title, and it doesn't matter because of their color, and it doesn't matter how old they are. We were all created, in my opinion, by the same person, and we have the same value. And so what matters the most are relationships.
Ian, thank you very much. We'll come back. We will focus on the Aggies' next opponent. That's New Orleans in tomorrow at Reed Arena. That and more as the Buzz Williams Show continues. This is Aggie basketball from Learfield. We continue. It is our final segment of the Buzz Williams Show at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. And after 3 games last week, it is 1 game this week. And it is tomorrow night at Reed Arena at 6 o'clock, 5:30 with the Dos Equis tip-off show. Dr. John Thornton and I will get you set for the Aggies and the New Orleans Privateers. And the Aggies taking on a team that is 3-4 but can score. They have Derek St. Hilaire. I think it's 20. Doesn't matter who he's playing. It could be Ole Miss. It could be Northwestern, VMI. He's just a flat-out scorer. Your defense will be tested, won't it?
We have to get back in transition. They're averaging 19 points a game in transition. That's a very high number. The kid that you mentioned, number 10 has taken 70 more field goal attempts through 7 games than anybody else on the team. 74 more. That's a little over 10 per game more than anybody else. Distinctly different and better than they were last year when we played them. I think offensively they can score at a high clip, and then defensively they really just want to bother you, whatever that means. I told our team I think that they're arguably the second best team that we have played thus far at Reed Arena. They have some Abilene Christian-like guards. They're going to put pressure on you on the rim. You have to be able to guard the bounce. You have to be able to defend without fouling. And that will all start on the rise of our shot. When we shoot it, can we corral the ball, slow the ball down, keep them out of transition? They're not shooting a lot of threes. They're shooting a lot of shots at the rim. And so we can't allow them to get, if it was a pie chart, they get 20% from transition. They get 20% from the free throw line. They get 20% at the rim. Like, we have to disrupt that chart because they can score. I think they scored 79 points. They played in their own tournament, and I think their last game was Friday. I think they scored 79 on Friday. And so they have a good team. Coach Schlesinger does a really good job with them. And we need to be the second half of Notre Dame from the beginning.
You were talking about how you're playing 11 guys. You have your first 5. Obviously, whoever starts and whoever finishes, the 5 who finish is important. But with that depth, Buzz, can you put pressure on other teams' benches with the talent that you have coming off your bench? You mentioned Q, really a starter coming off the bench. That's kind of hard to match for some other schools, isn't it?
Well, our 3 leading scorers against Notre Dame were 3 guys off the bench. And if you came to practice and it was shirts and skins, today you would go, those are the 5 best, I think. And then if you came the next day, you would say, no, it's these 5 over here. There is parity, if that's the appropriate word. We have multiple guys that do several things well. And we need everybody to be their best in hopes that our depth or somebody turned their ankle, or somebody's in foul trouble, or somebody's not playing good, whatever it is, I don't know who our best 8 guys are. It's not established. But I do think that we are making small steps in a positive growth way. And we need to continue to take those things. We know as a team what we need to do better. We know as a team what we're not doing great. And we need each individual, specific to the team requirements, to help us in those regards. And then individually, we need each of those guys to be their best on each end of the floor. Does that mean we're going to play 11 every night through 7 games we have? Is that realistic? Don't know. There's only going to be 200 minutes in a game. If it's a regulation game, we know that. And we do think that our depth can play a part, particularly if the tempo is the way we would like to get it. One of the things that's helping us defensively is obviously I think we're top 20 in the country in turnovers forced. Is that a realistic number, or is that just a small sample size? Maybe a little bit of both, but that helps. Mm-hmm. And if we can force turnovers, I think some of that will come from how fast we're able to play. That'll come from the ball pressure. That'll come from the activity of our hands and feet. And I think that's a good thing. It's going to be when the opponent has it, do they get one shot or do they get more? When the opponent has it, can we play that possession without fouling? And then on the other end, can we get more than one shot? And can we get them in foul trouble? Can we get to the bonus? And I know that sounds very simple, but I think thus far through 7 games, I think that's what we've learned that is going to give our team the best chance.
Good to be back home. We will see you
tomorrow. It is good to be at home.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you guys for coming.
He is Buzz Williams. Thank all of you for being here at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road in College Station. We will join you 5:30 tomorrow and all along the network for our Dos Equis tip-off show. And then the tip will be just after 6 at Reed Arena as the Fighting Texas Aggies will take on the Privateers of New Orleans. Thanks to Tabor Mays, who is the producer of the Buzz Williams Show. Kevin Mensch, our engineer. For head coach Buzz Williams, I'm Andrew Monaco. Thanks for joining us. Thanks and gig 'em. This is Aggie basketball from Learfield.